Welcome back to another Scale Auto Guys workbench. Today I'm working on a car that I've had in my collection for a little bit. I'm not sure exactly where I came across this particular kit, but most of you have probably already built it. But it's the AMT Chevy Camaro Z28. This particular one, 123 parts. Gives you a couple of different build options. You can build it as stock, or you can build it as like a street machine, or maybe something a little in between. Let's take a look at what came in the box here. First up is the classic 68 Camaro body. This body looks pretty clean. Just a couple of little mold lines back over here, and that's about it. Maybe a little bit of flash, but not bad. It's pretty clean. It's not warped. That's pretty good for an AMT kit. Next up is your chassis. As you can see, it's a bare chassis, so all of the exhaust system and suspension parts are separate, which makes it nice. You can detail paint to your heart's content. Next tree is your interior tub. The nice looking dashboard. Now this one, next tree, is a little weird. As you see on the box art there, they show what looks like Krager Super Sport mag wheels, and they're in a chrome. Well, on the parts tree, they're bare plastic. So if you want those chrome, now you got to paint them yourself. Next up is your front and rear faces and the spoiler. There are a couple of little dimple spots in there. Oh, also, speaking of dimple spots, there was one little dimple back here on the rear quarter panel. That may or may not be in your kit, but it's definitely in mine. Next up is the optional hood. As you can see there, it has a dual quad setup, and I'm guessing a blower system. So that's what that hood's for. Next up is your engine halves and rear axle. Kind of weird looking. Oh well, that's part of the differential right there. I was gonna say, where's the rest of the differential? It's right there. Looks like it might have posable steering. Some of you guys like it, some of you guys don't. Last plain styrene tree has your stock exhaust system and stock hood, stock intake manifold and exhaust manifolds, stock mufflers. Next up is your chrome tree. I do like the lake pipes. Here's your blower, or at least part of it. Tail lights. There is a little bit of flash on that grill. Not bad. Just have to carefully trim it. Next up is your decal sheet. They give you white stripes and black stripes, a couple of different license plates, some name call outs, side markers, gauges, Next up is your one-piece glass. Now here's something that's unique and I kind of like. They give you 2 sets of tires. Both of them are Goodyear Potted Glass GT pad printed. One set is like your stock tires, stock widths. The others are a little bit wider. And last but not least is your instruction sheet. For this one, I was going to go with this Deco Art Amethyst, but I was looking at the box art, and the box art shows a car that's kind of in this color here, this ice blue. Now, I've tried this on another car, on the what was that, the 68 Super B, or 70 Super B rather, sorry. It didn't turn out so well, but then again I used a darker primer, and this time I'm going to try with a white primer. Let's see how that color pops with a white primer. So there you go. Alright, let me get some sub-assemblies wiped out, and we'll head over to the paint booth and start slinging some paint and see what we come up with. I'll see you over there. Alright fellas, I've jumped a little bit ahead. Now I did go ahead and put a second coat of paint on the body. I wasn't really pleased with the way that ice blue turned out, and that's the second time that I've been disappointed with that paint, and it'll probably be the last time that I use it. So the new color is this here. It's what I did was use the ice blue, but I added just a little bit of sapphire blue metallic to it, just a little bit, and it changed the tint just a smidge. I went ahead and painted the black on the, I lost the cross member. I painted the black framework on this. I've got the engine pretty much completed. I just have to add the exhaust pipes, which I am going to use the headers and the side pipes. So I'm not going to go with the stock exhaust on this. I got the interior completed. I just got this rubber band on here holding the sides in because it was a little bit loose. The dashboard was sitting a little bit loose, but there's the interior. And as you saw in the paint sequence, I'm going to use the 5-spoke mags, the Cragar Super Sport lookalikes. I'm going to use those, and that's where we stand right now. Still got quite a bit to do. I'm just getting started on the front suspension, and got to do the spindles yet, and a whole bunch of other stuff, so stay tuned. Alright fellas, I got the suspension and everything, as you see here, installed. The rear end is basic, just 4 points of attachment. Put the drive shaft in and glue it down. Now I did put the engine in and then put the headers on after I put the engine in, and I like to do it that way because when the glue is still pliable, you can adjust these to where they need to go. I don't like putting them on the engine and then trying to drop them in. Not that you could do that in this car anyway, because they would not fit past the frame. But there they are in position, as you can see. The front suspension's all in. That was a little bit tricky, not too bad, but a little bit tricky. On the top end, there's a little notch. I don't know if you can see that. Well, I need to aim the light there a little bit. There's a notch in this piece here, right here, and there's a notch in the upper control arm. You just got to match those up. This glues flat against the lower control arm, and it's the same on each side. The tie rod assembly, there's a flat spot in the frame back here on each side, and you just need to glue it down to that, and it's good to go. The the lower control arms, they have a couple of different glue attachment points. Here, 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 and where it goes on the spindles on each end. And that's it. That's pretty basic. Pretty basic. So I still have to do the shock absorbers. I forgot that I had to paint them. You can see them sitting here. I'm waiting for the paint to dry, and once that paint's dry, I'm going to go ahead and pop those on. They go into the little slots. You see where I have the paint cleared off here and here. So they glue down to this, and then they go down. There isn't an attachment point on the inside, but they just kind of free hang in there. So that's all you got to do for that. And then the suspension's done. Now I've already got the interior done because I skipped ahead a couple of steps. Now I already showed you that. And we're waiting on just the body after this. I still have to do the wheels and tires. Now, in the intro, I showed where they had 4 small tires for like stock build and 4 big tires for the custom build. I've been thinking about doing the bigger tires on the back and the smaller tires on the front. I'm not sure if that's how I'm going to go yet, or if I will go with all, I don't know. I haven't quite made up my mind, but you'll see in just a little bit what I've decided to do. So be right back. Alright fellas, I've got the chassis and everything all set to go. We're now moving on to the body here in just a little bit. Like I said, I was going to go with the big tires in the rear, small tires in the front, which I did. You can see that in this picture here. And there we are. The radiator pops right in, no problems. I waited to put the upper and lower radiator hoses on until I was at this stage, because it was easy to just go up in there with a pair of tweezers and just kind of pop them into place. And there is just one attachment point down here. So let's get on with the body. I got to do some clear coat, and once that clear coat's set, we're going to be moving on to bare metal foil, and then the final touches, decals, taillights, headlights, etc., etc., and then on to the final. But let's do some clear coating next. Alright guys, before we get over to the paint booth and throw down some clear, there is a couple of things I forgot to mention that I wanted to mention earlier. The wheels and tires. These wheels are made up of 3 pieces each. You got the wheel backs, then you got the little locks that hold them on there, then you have your outer wheel. And oh, and you can see I added the side pipes. What I did, because these tires are hollow and they're easy to manipulate, I went ahead and assembled the wheel assemblies on the axles and then slipped the tires over the rims. Because of the way they were designed, I felt that this was the easiest way to do it. So what I did is I slipped the wheel back onto the axle, then I put the locking ring, which is part number 7. It just slips over that little pin, so I just put a little dab of glue on there, slipped that down over, and then glued the outer part of the rim to the inner part. Once that grew minions. Anyway, once that glue set, I just slipped the tires over the rims, and they popped right on there easy. So that's how I did that. Also, I noticed that the back end looked a little squatted, so I took a part of one of the parts trees, one of the number tags, one of the larger number tags, like this one here, this little bit longer. I snipped it off right at this piece here. I cut that off, I snipped it off, and then I cut it in half. And what I did with that is I added it back here. Now I got to touch up the paint on that. I was waiting for the glue to dry. But that lifted up dropped the rear end and lifted the rear end at the same time. About maybe not quite a quarter of an inch. So that gives me a little bit more of a raked stance, and you know I like that better than I do a rear end that's squatting down. So I got to touch up the chrome on the pipes here. They should have had the attachment points on the bottom so you wouldn't see them when you have it in built, but they put them on the top for some stupid reason. So I have to go in there and kind of, and I probably should have done this before I attached them, but it's too late now. They're already attached. So I'll just go in there and kind of scrape it down a little bit, and I'll use my chrome pen, chrome paint marker, and touch that up. You'll probably still be able to see it, but it won't be as noticeable as that is right now. So just wanted to give you a quick update on the wheels and tires, how I did those. I'm sorry I didn't show that. I was just building and should have had the camera rolling, and I didn't. But like I said, I put the inner wheel on, put the little lock. It's basically one of these that slip over the little pin on the end of the axle, and then glued the outer rim to the inner rim, and then waited for it to set. Now, that being said, on the front ones, if you look down here, you see some white, and I got to touch that up. The outer rim doesn't seat fully on the inner rim because of the way that's designed, that little locking plate, if you will. So I just glued the center of this to the center of the locking plate and called it a day. When the body's sitting down over it, you're not going to see that very much anyway, but I will go in there and touch up that paint, because I didn't paint the facing of where the tire seats, because I figured the tire was going to cover that up. Now, had I used the bigger tires on the fronts like I did on the backs, it would have filled that gap, but I used the smaller tires, and so the gap is showing. Yeah, it's little minor tweaks here and there I got to do, but when it's finished, it'll look fantastic. Okay, now here's that body, here's that paint job, and we got to go get some clear coat put on this. So I'll see you at the paint booth.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Alright fellas, guess what time it is? It's bare metal foil time! Yes, I just finished putting 2 coats of polish on the body, and so far it's looking pretty good. And I want to get the bare metal foil done on this, and then we're going to start putting our stripes and decals on them. I was debating on whether or not I wanted to go with the white stripes or the black stripes. I think the black stripes will stand out and look a little bit better. So let's go and get started on this. I need that one. And Q-tip. And a toothpick. Now, you're probably wondering why I need all that. Well, the Q-tip will help me kind of push it gently into corners and stuff that I may need, as well as a toothpick. It also will help me to scrape up where I've sliced off, get the edge lifted. I could use the knife to do that, but I run the risk of scraping the paint. The toothpick and stuff is less likely to do that. So I'm going to rearrange the camera here just a little bit. That way there I'm not banging my head into it. And let's get started. And oh, you may want to pick up your a blade sharpener. This is a knife sharpener, but I use it to sharpen my number 11 blades for doing foil work. Nothing worse than having a dull blade while you're trying to do this work, because the dull blade will tear the foil instead of cutting it. Now, the nice thing about this kit are the trim lines were nice and deep, so that they didn't fill up with paint when I was painting, and it makes putting the foil down a lot easier. You can match it right up, put it down, and you're good to go. Oh, there's also one more thing I forgot. I have an old t-shirt here, just an old cotton t-shirt, and I use that to burnish down the foil. It does a dual purpose here. Not only does it burnish it down, but it also polishes it up a little bit while you're doing it. So it's a double purpose. Now I always cut my strips about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch wide, depending on the application, how wide the strip is that I need to cover. And 1/8 of an inch you bend over just enough to kind of cover, but you're not wasting a whole bunch of foil. You want to try to be as frugal as you can be. And now I'll go inside here and burnish this down in here too. Now, the toothpick is for things like these edges here. You just kind of roll it over it, and that'll seal that down real nice. So as you can see, that top piece is done. Alright, I'm going to finish this up, and I'll be right back with the foil done. Welcome to the final on this 1968 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 by AMT. Well, let me start out by first saying that this kit has plenty of parts to build, probably more than the aforementioned 2-in-1. So with that in mind, I invite you to let your mind go crazy, because you can build your own style with this. The entire kit has been a dream to build, basically from the ground up. The body lines on this kit are nice and clean, and there was minimal mold lines to clean up. Now, I glued the spoiler in place before painting, and you guys probably caught that in the painting sequences. And it was easier to do it then than it was to try to glue it down over a painted surface. Also, it gave me the opportunity to kind of get an even color. Now, the hood, the front and rear fascias, as you saw in the painting sequences, I taped those into place so that those two would have an even color coat of paint. There's been a few times where I've painted the hood separate from the body, and they were just a shade off. Now let's move on to the suspension. Although it does appear to be a little tricky, that front suspension, it actually goes together pretty nice. Everything made it up to the points where they were supposed to go. It was a little bit fiddly trying to get all those parts in the right place and keeping them there until the full assembly was put together. But once you kind of clicked them together, in the glue set, it was great. As I mentioned earlier in this video, I raised the rear end about a 3/16 of an inch, and I'm glad I did that. It probably could have gone another 1/16 of an inch higher, looking at the final result here. You know, it still looks pretty good as it is, but I think if the back end was raised just a little bit more, it would have had more of a dramatic stance. But at least right now the car sits level. Had I not raised that 3/16 of an inch in the back, it would have squatted, and I think it would have looked quite terrible. Now the decals went down really nice, with one exception, and that was over where the vents and the cowl are. It took a little bit to get those to settle down in there. Even with the decal set solution, it still kind of fought me a little bit, because it does drop down in there quite a ways. And basically what I ended up doing was taking a Q-tip and just placing the Q-tip lengthwise across the cowl vents, and then just kind of pushing it down just the weight of my thumb, and holding it there for about 30-40 seconds, and then it finally complied. The rest of the big stripes, though, went down real nice. They actually bent around that rear spoiler really easily and stuck in place real easily. They conformed to every little body bump and curve, so they did go down pretty nice. The hardest part for me doing stripes like that is making sure that the front and rear stripes kind of match up as far as spacing and how they look. I don't want the back ones, you know, 1/8 of an inch wider than the front ones and that kind of stuff. It's always been a challenge for me to do those stripes, and that's why I generally don't. Now, I did debate on whether or not I wanted to go with the white stripes or the black stripes. The white stripes would have looked good on there, but I think the black goes with the interior, and it kind of goes with the entire theme, and really kind of looks good. Now the interior, although light on detail, It goes together with ease, and it looks pretty good when it's finished. I just wish that they had included center console decals for this kit. It would have given the sparse interior just a little bit of a kick. Painting them in, it does okay, but I think a decal would have looked better. So, what do you guys think about this build? Have you built this one yet? How did it turn out? Let me know in the comment section below. And while you're down there clicking on things, and if you enjoyed this video, maybe consider clicking the thumbs up button, as well as the share and hype buttons. Those things let the YouTube algorithm know that people are watching and enjoying my content. If you'd like to contact me with your builds or questions or any other things, you can always follow me on Facebook, or you can drop me a line at scaleoutaguy@gmail.com. If you want more videos like this one, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so that you'll be notified when I post new videos. Thanks for watching Scale Out a Guy's Workbench, and I'll see you on the next build.